Arsenal with just the one shot on target. You've got to feel sorry for Arsenal fans who pay to go and watch that week in, week out, because yet again, this did not live up to the name of Arsenal Football Club.
Do you know what's got more life than Arsenal? Those flowers. And they're artificial.
They are.
Why do we bring them out every year?
I don't know. It's
Because
to get you in a holiday mood.
Well, but they're not festive decorations. They're just flowers. Well. Anyway, watching Arsenal, I'll tell you what it was like today. And by the way, that was like City, we know, from the disappointment of last week where they were really poor in the derby. Not that they had to do much, but they defended stoutly. They dominated the midfield. And De Bruyne was excellent. And without Aguero as well, they still managed to... They could have racked up 6 or 7. The stats don't do it justice. And I'll tell you why. Because after half-time, City just switched off. It was that easy. It was like the old days when the manager wanted to work in a bit of shape with your first team. So if there wasn't enough reserves, they'd get the kids in, the youth team in. And for the kids, it was great because they got to come and be on the same pitch as the first team, the professionals. And you set up a little game. And ultimately, the kids rarely got a touch, because of the disparity between the two teams. The old experienced guys and the young guys learning. And that's what that was like today. It was like a bunch of pros, experienced pros, against a bunch of guys who really didn't know what they were doing. He put out a very attacking lineup, which was a mistake straight away, because you had Aubameyang, Martinelli, Pepe, who, by the way, thinks it's OK to be doing back heels at 3-0 down, and Mesut Ozil, whose sole contribution of any note was to kick his gloves when he came on.
Yeah.
So, the pressure that was put on Torreira and Guendouzi was just way too much. I mean, those two guys are probably, are definitely, in my opinion, not good enough for Arsenal long-term anyway. In fact, there's probably hardly anybody in that team, Aubameyang apart, and maybe Leno in goal, that's good enough for Arsenal.
How ridiculous is it, Shaq, that you get rid of Unai Emery and you don't really have a plan?
Yeah.
You bring in Lundberg, who's never coached before at this level, and you think, oh, that'll do. That kind of sums it all up, wasn't it? Spurs got rid of Pochettino, and they had Mourinho in, boom, off you go.
I think that's the point. It sums up how Arsenal have been run from a boardroom level. That this is first the kind of lethargy they show around getting rid of the previous manager, and then you wonder whom in your heart, you bring in Unai Emery, then you wonder about him as well, and no real plan. And as a result, you have a team kind of mired in what you saw today. Yeah. And listen, 3-0 was complimentary to Arsenal today. Bernd Leno had a couple of outstanding saves. And this, is, as Craig rightly says, is with Manchester City taking their foot off the gas at the break. And it speaks to how inept and how far this club has to come, and that the problems aren't just those on the park or the manager's making. It's far more deep-rooted than that.
But surely if you brought in a Rafa Benitez,
I think
he can at least get some sort of shape and some sort of competitiveness back to this team, because that's what they need at the moment. You can't have Lundberg there any longer, surely.
No. Well, apparently Arsenal and some of our colleagues, I think Julian Laurens amongst others, have said, well, they're going to take stock. And if the right guy's not out there, they're going to wait till this... I mean, how can you wait till this summer?
Yeah.
When you... OK, they beat West Ham, was it Monday?
Monday.
Well, West Ham, let's be honest, were heartless. And if they'd anything about them, they would have nailed Arsenal when they had them at 1-0. So... And before that, they hadn't won in 9 games. I actually think, and I've never felt Benitez is a bad manager, there are a couple of spells here and there where it wasn't quite as good as it's been in the early days. But I think he's very... As much as other things, he's pragmatic. He's experienced, he knows the market, he knows the league. I think he would be a good appointment for Arsenal Football Club. And then it would be up to the recruitment to go out and try and help him out.
I think it comes down to what Arsenal spend in January.
What are they going to do in January, Shaq?
But my point is, I don't care who you bring in. Nobody's doing anything with this squad. Nobody.
But the thing is, and we heard Jules say, look, they had money. They had 60 million to spend on a defender. They couldn't get one.
Right.
So why are they going to get one in January now?
Oh,
you want someone to come in and at least can make
my point to whether Rafa Benitez comes in and is successful in the short term or not is all dependent on what he's allowed to do in January. Because whether you give the squad to Rafa Benitez, Pep Guardiola, give them to all three, if you ask me. Nobody can do anything with this squad. Aubameyang has been outstanding. Bernd Leno playing well. Everybody else has simply been passengers from back to front. And regardless of what you do or who you bring in, as I say, from Lundberg to Rafa Benitez, you're going to get the same old dross week in, week out.
Aubameyang's got the goals in him, but still, even with those goals, there's not one Arsenal player would get near the Liverpool and City teams. That's a sorry state to be in for a club that's been as successful as it has. I really don't know sort of where they go from here. It's a right hole that they're in, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to dig this out. Mikel Arteta has been a guy that's been mentioned. He's super experienced in terms of coaching at City, but not in terms of managing. But there's two ways of looking at this. If Arteta is the next best thing that's out there, getting schooled under Guardiola, and he might be, you just don't know, is that one, it's a good job to take because it really should only be able to get better. Or two, and I'm kind of in the second one, there's too many voices behind the scenes. The team and squad are such a shambles that it's well left aside for a bit until maybe I get a chance down the line. Because why the hell would Mikel Arteta, apart from the fact he might have loved his time at Arsenal, why would he go there now and manage this football club when they're in such disarray?
Just a final word on this. Kevin De Bruyne is so much fun when he's in this sort of mood, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, City, it looks they're very unlikely to peg that big gap back now. But when De Bruyne is in that kind of form, and I thought Rodri was excellent as well, and young Foden got some game time, but Kevin De Bruyne is rightly lauded as one of the great European midfielders of his era. I mean, he really is.
As tough as those two finishes were, I don't think many people in world football today make it look that easy.
Right.
The volley that he takes first time, the coming inside on the left foot with a man on your back, that is a special talent.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.